Welcome to #Single with Jeanette
and Traci. We are not relationship experts or sex therapists. We are two people navigating the world as single, independent feminists, having honest conversations with other singles in today's device-obsessed culture.
We hope you'll join us on this journey as we navigate the ins and outs of singledom.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of #Single. I am your host for today, Traci Redmond, and today I have with me a very special guest, my friend Jessica. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Traci.
You're very welcome. And today, our voice of the patriarchy, we have David. David, you can say hello.
Greetings from the patriarchy.
From the patriarchy. Thank you for being here, David. We appreciate it.
Of course.
Yes. All right. So, Jessica.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Sure. Yeah. Can I first just say how I just have to say right at the top that this was so difficult to get us all together here. So I'm excited that it's happening.
Yes.
It's really hard to make a date with a gentleman.
Right.
It's to schedule, and you add a third person into it. To schedule 3 people.
Yes, and it's not just you,
room.
Dave. It's been multiple single men that we've been trying to get in here. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I'm glad.
Just to say right up top.
I'm glad we could all 3 have this date together. So thank you.
It's lovely. Yes.
So on that note, we like to start out by asking you, where are you in your journey in your single life?
I'm 32 years into my single life.
Oh. And
I'm so single.
Yeah?
But it's all good.
It is.
Yeah.
It is good. Yeah. So are you dating?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Trying to,
aren't we all? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
sometimes successfully, most times not so successfully.
All right. Well, go on.
Do tell. I guess I will say I am online dating.
Okay.
Which has been the least amount of success, I would say. Oh. Yeah. It's not my favorite, but it's something I'm trying because that seems to be what people are doing these days. And it has, it's been interesting to meet new people that you would never otherwise meet, but also most of the time, you don't have anything in common, really. Like, it's hard to force a connection with someone that you don't know at all. Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, now let's be romantic. Or even if you're just like, let's see where this goes. You're like, well, I'm kind of busy. You're kind of busy.
Yeah, and that's a whole, a lot of reasons why people aren't getting together. But I found it interesting that you just said that you're not finding people that you have anything in common with. But one would hope that with these online dating apps, that's what these algorithms are created to do, is
I guess so.
Pick out these things and match you with people that you have things in common with.
Yeah, it's so you both Game of Thrones. Oh boy, yeah. That's a strong, deep love connection there. So, I mean, I don't know. I like to think that it's probably a lot more than that. But I don't know. I'm not finding that that's the case. Just because you have all of these surface things in common with somebody, even if it's not something as silly as your favorite TV show, if it's you have the same politics and you have the same views on the world, even if it's something like that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be, a soul match with somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. You might just be a really cool friend.
Sure.
Yeah, there might not be that romantic connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've found that as well, where you might look really good on paper. You might match on paper.
They always
and then you
do.
Get together. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't everyone look amazing on paper?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in person, so.
Yeah. I just had one recently, actually.
Oh.
It was my first Bumble date.
Oh.
And, I was kind of interested to try that one since it at least makes you think that the woman is in control by having to be the first one to message the person. And this guy, again, looked good on paper. He he was like a scuba diver. He was into martial arts. He seemed really like down to earth and kind of into other things. He had a good job. He lived in a nice neighborhood, and I met him, and he was like telling me how he doesn't believe in affirmative action, and that he has just his views of that were very opposite from mine. And then he concluded that by saying that it's a really hard time for white men right now. I know.
Oh, that's so sad.
Isn't it?
I feel bad for him.
Oh, no.
So difficult to be a white guy.
I know.
The worst of times. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So when's your second date?
right? No, we're getting married next week, actually.
It's a Game of Thrones themed wedding.
Save the date.
Okay, David. Now I just have to remind you, our voice is I know.
So sorry.
I know it's hard.
It's really hard.
After all of these
I like
years
that. Oh, it's fine.
of
Yeah.
our patriarchy, adding in, you'll get your time. It's
it.
coming. It's coming.
Man,
Yeah.
she's
So
tough.
sorry.
I am
She's
tough.
so tough.
You know,
That's good, though.
this is about us. Yeah.
Take your notes.
Yeah.
For later.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Okay, so you said you tried Bumble. That was your first date.
That was
on
my
Bumble.
first
Yeah.
and so far only Bumble date. I've done the OkCupid thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which,
you've mentioned that's been your favorite, right? Or,
yeah, favorite is kind of a strong word, but I have been using that one most often. And I feel like I liked that one just because most of the time you have to put a lot more information about yourself there as opposed to Bumble. Really, it was just like some pictures, a blurb, and like I like activities, and that was sort of it. So I like to weed people out a little bit more before I even get to meet them in person, because who's got that kind of time?
Yeah, that's true. I agree. It is, it's tough. So the more information that you have, hopefully.
You think you're making an informed decision, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you had mentioned, right at the top, that you are 32 years single.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. So are you saying that you haven't been in a long-term relationship or a relationship? Or is that...
Yeah, no, I have not been in a very long-term relationship, no. I've dated and I've been in, I don't know, maybe an exclusive sort of dating situation, but not anything that ever led to the point where we were like, I'm your boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which I think is maybe rare for someone my age, but I do know other people that is the case for as well.
Sure, yeah. I think it's probably, especially nowadays, more common than one would think. People aren't getting married as young, so they're waiting to date longer.
Yes.
Or they're just dating and they're not actually making those connections for whatever reason, whether it's their career or they're in school or whatever reason, they're just not, or they're not really looking for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's, that kind of leads to like why people get into a relationship. Is it because of just companionship? Is it to have a family? I think that it obviously it's different for everybody, but it is an interesting idea, I think, to see what takes you from being single and dating into what a partnership would be with another person, one other single human person. Sure. Yeah, like, in preparation, since we have been actually trying to get this podcast recorded for a while, I was out recently and with some friends, and we started talking to this guy. He was friends with the bartender. The bartender introduced us to one of his friends there, and I was telling him about potentially doing this podcast recording, and we had at that point already had a very lengthy conversation about everything from politics to, why his whole family history came up. And it was kind of fascinating to talk to him. And I could tell, he had a ring on his finger, by the way. First thing I notice, and gentlemen, if you think we don't notice, we definitely notice. Oh,
it's like the first thing we look
and
for
we notice
sometimes.
when you take it off too.
Or try and hide your hand nonchalantly, like behind the back.
We've seen
like,
it already.
This isn't awkward looking.
Yeah, because it's happened before.
Oh yeah.
So yep, we know. Okay, so he was married, and he. So I was telling him I was doing this recording, and I was like, wondering what our topic was going to be about. And he was saying how he came to New York from England. He was from England and then moved to this country. And he had been living in New York City as a single man for 10 years. And he was having a good time. And he was sleeping with everyone that he could. And just then one day he said, okay, well, I'm getting married. And he settled down. And I was like, wow, well, what was it about this woman, your wife, that was so special that would have made you stop that lifestyle and just, go into this domestic bliss with her? Mm-hmm. And he paused for a really long time.
Rethinking his choices.
Yes. He had never considered it before. He never thought of it like that. I guess he just was like, oh, I'm tired.
Yes.
I'm tired of that.
Yes.
And you're here, and you are my current situation, so we will get married.
That's so funny.
Isn't that crazy, though?
Yes.
And here I am, I'm overthinking everything, and I'm like, oh my God, how, what do I have to do to change myself, or do I have to present myself in a way in which would be, that I have to present a relationship to somebody, or no, you just have to be there at the right time for someone else.
That's so funny because as you were telling me this story, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but have you seen Amy Schumer's new stand-up? I think it's called Growing. It's on YouTube right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw her perform live recently. I don't know if it was the same set. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how she got her husband. She says that she talks about how men in their 20s and 30s, they're just having sex with everyone. And the thing is that women, you wait until they're in their 40s, and then that's when men are tired.
Right.
And it's all right, come on. That's kind of how this new stand-up special ends, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And that's,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Find someone in their 40s.
You just find a bunch of tired guys, because that's what I'm looking for, right?
Yep.
Get them when they're tired.
Can barely move.
Right. Now they're all done.
Great.
Yeah.
And we're in our prime.
Right.
Supposedly.
Oh, my. Talking about moving from a dating situation into a relationship and how that actually happens and making that decision. And you and I had talked about that previously, just in our personal lives. And I was going on a few dates, and I was dating this man. We had gone out on a few dates, and it was going good. We were having these like adult conversations, and I told him, we were kind of talking about what was happening with us, because we were having a nice time and we were hanging out. And
where is this going?
well, that wasn't the conversation.
Not that far.
Not that far. No. But I brought up the topic about what you and I had talked about. You know, how do we know when it's time, or whatever? And he said, I think you just decide. We just talk about it. Which I thought that was really adult and really interesting, to just be like, so we're just going to do this. We're in a relationship now.
Yeah.
And either you're both kind of like, yeah, we are. Or, you know what, I'm just good where we are. And then you kind of have to decide, like, if you're just going to keep hooking up, keep casually dating while you're casually dating a couple of other people or whatever that is, or if you are going to be monogamous. And one of the things about me, which I've talked about before on this podcast, is I've always kind of been known as a quote-unquote serial monogamist, where I get into long-term relationships. I like being in a relationship, and that's something that I know about myself. But when I'm not in a relationship, then I just date like crazy. You know,
I've seen.
Yes, right?
It's impressive.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how.
I'm so tired just like listening to how often you're.
How much fun I have.
How much fun you have. No,
Right.
it's true. No, I really love it though. Yeah.
But I think for me, I just want to meet people, and so I just talk to people. And I've only been on one app most recently, which was Bumble, which is funny that you have not had success with it. Jeanette has not had success with it.
I mean, I've had my 0% success rate is due to the one date though that I tried.
Exactly.
That I tried to go on. Yeah. So, I've heard, you know, it's all about the numbers. It's the numbers game.
That's you know,
which
that's
is
what they say.
just
It's
so romantic.
exhausting.
It's
Yes.
so romantic. Oh my
So,
God.
yeah.
Just
I know.
the more people you meet, the better chance you have of finding the one.
You know, but the one. Yeah, is there the one?
The ones,
The one
plural.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. If that's what you want.
Yeah, sure.
Because some people don't want that.
Sure.
Or they don't make room in their lives.
You're just trying to
for that.
find your people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Have you ever had that conversation with someone where, as far as like about being monogamous with each other or transitioning into a relationship?
Well, not really, no. I mean, I guess that's sort of part of it. And I mean, I will say there was one situation that happened to me, and it also happened to my cousin too, and I think it's kind of a cute story, so I'm going to mention it. That when we had been dating for like a little while, I used to wear a Claddagh ring. You know,
I don't
do you
know
know
what
the
that is.
Claddagh? It's an traditionally Irish ring where there's two hands holding a heart.
Oh.
You've probably
Yes.
seen it.
Yes.
And if you wear the ring outward with the heart facing outward, it means you're single. And if you have the heart facing inward, it means you're in a relationship.
Oh.
And so my cousin and I both had this kind of ring, and at one point the people that we were dating was like they took my hand and they like switched the ring around. Oh my God, David is laughing. It was really cute. I know, it's so weird. But like, so we didn't have a conversation. Yeah. It was very much silent. And he just kind of switched the ring around. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's it then.
I am betrothed to you.
I am now betrothed to you. Yes. So probably, Traci, the more adult thing would be to have a real, actual live conversation with some dialogue back and forth, about like, yes, like we are now exclusive to each other. But I'm not super familiar with that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not many people are. Many people don't even talk to each other anymore at all.
Yeah, well, it's a scary thing to bring up when you're in a new dating situation with someone, because you don't want to scare them away. You think that's something that I think would be scary for someone if all of a sudden I was like, well, okay, well, what do you want? What do you, and not that I would approach it like that, but that's sort of how it feels sometimes. And you don't always know the answer, too. Like, it's okay to be like, I don't know, but are you enjoying yourself? I'm enjoying myself. Yeah. Should we just keep doing this? But if we keep doing this, like, you do have to know if there's going to be another person involved. And then, so then that's where it gets really tricky.
Sure. Yeah. Because, like, do you then tell the other person
exactly.
that you are still kind of out there and seeing other people? Do you tell them that you've closed all your dating apps and you just want to hang out with this other person? And,
right.
And I think, as far as like scaring someone off, that it's touchy, It's like you want to be, especially for someone who is looking for a relationship or looking to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You want to open up, and you want to hope that the other person is open to you opening up, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, we don't have to decide how many kids we're having today, but maybe like I just need to know if you're gonna not sleep with someone else right now.
Oh yeah, you should definitely, if you're like, if you're having sexual relationship with someone, like I think, like how my voice just automatically got
sexual.
Yeah, I started to, when like you like want to make a joke and then it's like, this joke is gonna be really dumb.
Is that what just happened?
I was like, this is not gonna work, so I'm just gonna stop right now.
Abort joke.
Right. And then it's just really awkward for everyone. Yeah, I mean, I think that having that conversation of if we have multiple partners, that's definitely
That's pretty fair.
Yeah,
because there are some diseases involved in that. Right? I didn't mean to bring up diseases on the podcast. We can skip over that topic, but here we are.
So is there anything about dating nowadays that you would like to change, or that you would change, or
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the nature of the online dating scene, especially here, which is what I can really speak to as being in New York City, is maybe that has helped cause the demise of in-person conversations in public areas where you would normally meet people. I mean, I don't know. I used to meet guys in bars all the time, and I don't know if it was just because I was in my 20s and I was cuter, but could have been. But yeah, like it's like there's a fear from both parties, though, too. I've had some friends, women friends, who have told me that they're scared to walk into a bar that's full of men, and then all eyes turn, and suddenly you're being watched, like the whole time, and but
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think that is she scared of being hit on, scared of being attacked.
Yeah, I think it's
of...
probably just a larger issue of men can be scary.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they always realize that, which is sort of why I'm glad we're having conversations like we're having today.
Especially, so yeah, it can be scary as a woman online dating, and because we've heard the horror stories, we've read the horror stories.
I'm meeting a stranger.
Yeah. Yes. Meeting a stranger, but then
from
also
online, like
from some random person that could.
Can you if you said that back when like the internet first started, they'd be like, yeah, oh my god,
yeah. I know, when it was weird.
You're meeting someone from a chat room.
So many of our guests, probably almost every guest that we've had on our podcast so far, has talked about how they wish people met in real life nowadays.
I wish they did. Yeah. I would love. I love people coming up to talk to me, though. Yeah, I do, and maybe that's just like.
So you would be okay if we were in a bar and a man, because we are known to be in a bar sometimes, a couple times, and a gentleman came up to you and said, "Can I buy you a drink?" or "How are you doing?" or what would he have to say or do to make you feel comfortable to just be like, yeah, sure? Like, is it his approach? Something?
He could start with, "Hey."
Oh, hey. So kind of like the text,
just like,
hey.
Hello. Like, I actually would prefer that other than, I had a guy come up to me at the bar recently. I'm always in a bar. And he and I saw it all happening. I saw it happen. He came up and he was with his friend and he kind of side shoved me and then was like, "Oops, I'm so sorry. Hi, my name's Joe." And I was like, yeah, exactly. David's shaking his head over there. No, it was that's pretty bad. Like that. I don't need you to fake hit me. Right. You can just say hey, hey ladies, how's it going? And if we're vibing, that's cool. If we're not vibing, please pick up on that too.
Yes.
That's absolutely the other part of it. And it's
when they stick around, it's like, okay,
right.
Go away.
But we don't know anything about each other in the beginning. So let's start fresh, with us both on this place of okay, hi, you're a human. And then very, very quickly, you can figure out if this person is still worth talking to or not.
Yeah. That's true.
Right? It doesn't take much. Yeah. And then you eliminate that whole having to meet someone online and then go to a bar and then meet them and then find that same thing out.
Yeah, exactly, because you're probably going to end up at a bar anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it always starts with, hey.
Hey.
Online and in person. Yeah. So I would love to now introduce, on that note, our voice of the patriarchy, or reintroduce you and welcome, David. Right. You've been listening.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
It's been very interesting to listen to.
Yeah? Oh, good.
I'm always fascinated.
Yeah. So do you have any first initial thoughts on what you've heard us talk about?
There was one thing that I thought was very interesting about talking about online profiles and what you have to put on that profile to be interesting to people. Mm-hmm. And you were saying, why can't we put more meaningful stuff? I always find there's a rare person every once in a while, on the few times I've online dated, if somebody has something that's a little more meaningful, it comes off a little pretentious. Oh. You're like, I'm a good listener, or I'm very supportive, things like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know, it's hard to find that balance, I feel of how do I present actual qualities that are valuable to being in a relationship without coming off like I'm a great partner and you please love me,
Although, you know what? I don't know. Try me. It's like if I don't know. I feel like if I saw a guy's profile and it were kind of honest like that, first I might be like, all right, this guy's bullshitting and he's just like trying to be different.
Yeah.
Or I might be like, oh, this guy is it's kind of interesting. I might, even if he's like, I'm a good listener, I'd be like, so am I.
I think also on that, which was like what you said too about you didn't like this guy who created this whole farce of knocking into you and everything. I think there's like a psychological aspect to that where it's don't play around and do all this thing. Be direct. If you want to talk to me, talk to me.
Totally.
If you're doing all of these other things, I feel like that kind of reflects on what this person's going to do when they're in a relationship, playing around, doing all of these kind of roundabout things to get what they want or they need. They don't know how to express that.
It's passive aggressive.
A little passive aggressive. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Hopefully not aggressive, but
Right.
But I don't know.
I mean, he physically pushed me down.
I don't like that.
No.
That's a hard no.
No.
What's interesting though, when you said that, what made me, it reminded me of, there's all of these like dating coaches for men and all of these like ways to meet. I mean, there are for women too, but the ones for men, it's like, men, what can we do? Like, there are all these tricks that I had no idea about until I started to talking to my male friends.
Yeah.
You know, so I wonder if that was like a thing that he learns, like when we bump into her.
Maybe.
It felt very, very put on.
Yeah.
That it was kind of like, oh man, like, I think you would have been better off just saying hi. Yeah. Like and that's totally, you know, like, and that's okay. You know, like that's why we're here.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. So David,
Yes.
so are you dating right now?
I'm not.
You're
no.
not? No, but you are single.
I am single.
Okay.
And this is like the longest stretch that I've been single in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of the same thing. I like that somebody else uses that terminology, serial monogamous, because that was my life from like high school until a couple of years into when I got here. I had been in like one long-term relationship after another. Mm-hmm. So dating also sounds very like scary to me. I've done it once as an online date and it did not go well. Kind of the same thing, sort of.
Yeah.
Just like a random interjection of like it was I have mental illnesses, and she basically was like, oh, mental illness isn't real, like just kind of a little bit out of nowhere, and
out the gate.
And I went, oh no, okay, this is gonna be a long night.
Not only did she just like shoot you down completely, like that's just not true.
Yes, exactly. We can debate finer points about things, but that's a little bit blanket that I don't know. I don't think I'm going to find common ground with you.
I'm sorry.
Was that recent?
It was about a year and a half ago now. So I turned off apps after that. It's like, I think that's a good enough experience.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, you have a couple bad experiences, and then you're like, God, this just sucks, you know? And even, I don't know, I just haven't had, I don't know, even good dates that, like, went well, and then we had several others, just were like, I don't know, they didn't work out ultimately. Mm-hmm. So even like the best, most successful online dates were just kind of like, meh.
It's that numbers game that you were talking about, which it like that really sucks, but it's kind of true because it's you have to play the numbers a little bit and see who works with you and whatnot. But it's exhausting because you don't want to do
of looking at it. But and again, it does make sense. But just like when you boil it down to that, though, it's just like
no, it takes all the romance and the fun out of it.
Absolutely.
Oh, romance!
Remember that?
Thing,
Remember when you believed in that?
I mean, it's like a romance app. You know, a romance dating app. It's like how to make things romantic. And people aren't romantic. Well, I don't know. I guess people are still romantic.
I blame Disney.
Oh,
you know,
they took the romance out of everything.
No, it made you have an expectation that, you know, everything was like, I was just going to fall asleep one day and someone would kiss me and then I would fall in love with them. You know, like, it took a long time to get over that, I think.
Yeah. It's
the
our
idea.
It's
Like,
been
I'm still
ingrained.
working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been ingrained
Yeah.
our whole lives.
It narrowed what romance could be.
Yeah.
You only wanted it to be that. And if anything wasn't that, you were like, okay, well, next thing,
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like what dating in New York is like. Next, what's the next thing? Everyone's looking for the next thing. You know, many people talk about that. It's like especially here in New York, because everyone's on the go. We're all doing other things. Most of us came to the city for multiple reasons, and
every other aspect of our life is like that.
Yeah.
What's next? All right.
What's
next job.
Finding.
Gotta go. Train's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta hurry. Gotta make the train.
Yep.
And you'll get there and you'll wait.
Right.
That's like a metaphor for
I think
dating, I guess. Yeah.
Hurry up and
wait.
Sure.
I think that's your new tagline. Hurry up and wait.
Yes. It's kind of what it feels like sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So, David, have you have you ever approached a woman in someone that you didn't know, or someone that maybe a friend of a friend?
I have had a couple of encounters like that. There was somebody I had just met recently at a party. I approached them after kind of everybody was leaving. Everybody was like gathering up their coats. Also New York, very winter. Everybody's got their coats. But I approached them after and just thought, I'm going to try and be brave. I've never done this, because normally it's somebody I've known for a little bit who I end up dating. And she very politely said, no, thank you. And I said, okay, great. And then I silently was like, I'm going to go throw up in my mouth now, because that was like the most anxiety-ridden thing I've ever had to do.
Geez, yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. Well, see you around. And excused myself. And kind of the same thing. It was like, I'm never doing that again. But you have to do it. I've done it a couple other times since then. Haven't led to anything romantic, but that's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
Got some good friends out of it. People. You find your people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, that's the hard thing. It's like we talk about approaching people, or like we want men to approach us, or we want to approach men. But anyone approaching anyone that we don't know or that we might know, and like, yeah, it's very nerve-wracking, and it's scary for men and women. Everyone. And so finding that that way to do it without one being creepy,
Sure.
and just being okay with like, all right, well, I guess this just wasn't meant to happen.
Yeah.
But it's
I
tough.
think, though, ultimately, like, if you are a good person, and your intention with starting a conversation comes from a good place, you won't come off creepy.
Right.
If you're like,
I met that guy.
I'm sure I've met him too, and his friends. But like it's about the intention too. Yeah. Like and also that's what women get scared of. What are your intentions for this conversation? Are you just trying to get laid tonight? Are you trying to have a nice conversation with another human? Mm-hmm. Are you going to murder me? That is where the fear from the women comes from. Like, what is your intention here? And if it's just to have a conversation, that's great.
Yeah.
Start there.
Definitely.
And then maybe you'll get laid later on, but don't start off there.
Right. All right. I like that.
Right.
And yeah, definitely. I think that's actually a good point to end on.
Oh.
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like I could talk to you guys for a few more hours.
Right? Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do a reunion podcast
part two.
Let's do it.
All of our guests on. Yeah. All right.
A 5-hour-long podcast.
We have dedicated listeners.
Yes, very dedicated. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys once again for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you guys for listening, and tune in next time for our next episode.
Yay.